So it looks like California has stop killing games, at least for now. For those of you who aren't familiar with the initiative, it's basically calling for video game publishers and studios to make their games available even after online support has ended, to let fans be able to take over maintenance of these games. And this is a real problem because currently the way the video game industry is, everybody has to be online all the time. Every game is online. Even the games that technically aren't online need to be online. They need to do license checks and all this other crazy stuff. And it is ridiculous. It's a far cry from when you would buy a disc or a cartridge and pop it into the machine and that was it. Even if you have a physical copy of a game now, they want to check and make sure you have access to it. And in a lot of cases, when support for that game ends, you're out of luck, right? Like that's it. It doesn't matter if you spent thousands of hours or thousands of dollars on a game. The game is over. The game gets yanked offline and you don't have a lot of recourse, even if you paid for that game. So personally, I think stop killing games is a very important part of video game preservation. And California doesn't seem to agree. So we're going to take a look at this and see where we're at. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you'd like more Clownfish TV, go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com for more episodes and podcasts you will not find anywhere else. Also, go out to iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Look for Clownfish TV podcasts, and we have an audio version of the show out there as well. So, Video Game Chronicles has it. A U.S. bill requiring paid games to be playable after they shut down has failed to pass a Senate vote. Stop Killing Games says it will come back with an in-person lobbying presence and funding to do this properly. So, yeah, basically, it seems like it's not very important. Now, this is California. This is where a lot of these game studios are. So I got to wonder what's going on here, right? But let's read the article and see if we can't figure this out. U.S. bill requiring paid games to be playable after they shut down has failed to pass a Senate vote. Stop Killing Games says it will try again with the funding to do it properly. So this is in California. They said the Protect Our Games Act, which was proposed by California Assemblyman Chris Ward, was put to a vote at the California State Assembly last month, where it won with a vote of 43-16. The next step was to pass the bill to the state Senate, where it was debated and voted on again. Had this vote passed, a final version of the bill would then have been created with House and Senate members before being submitted for final approval. However, as noted on the Reddit page of Stop Killing Games, a consumer movement seeking to preserve video games after they're taken offline to prevent them from becoming unplayable, as was the case with The Crew, the bill lost the vote at the state Senate after 4 Democrats voted yes, 3 Republicans voted no, and the rest abstained. It's just video games. It's not important, right? All right, let's go out and look at the Reddit page here. Industry lobby says Minecraft community servers are illegal. Wait, what? Okay, it has to be another section here. All right. Anyway, wait, what is that? Industry lobby says Minecraft servers are. That can't be the right post. There it is. All right. Yeah, we were only 3 votes away. Stop Killing Games back California bill to keep online games playable fails to win over Senate committee. They just don't care. They don't care. Those abstentions matter. Did they abstain courteously? Have you guys seen 1776? Or am I just that old? It was a good movie. A campaign volunteer wrote on Reddit, in a committee vote, an abstention is not neutral. It has the same practical effect as a no because a bill only advances if a majority of yes votes. Not enough yeses mean the bill stops here for this session. That is a loss. That is actually true. What happens sometimes in government, people are like, why are these senators not showing up for this important vote? Well, they are voting. They're just not actually voting. So they can say later, well, I never actually voted for or against that. I just abstained from the vote because they want to do whatever's going to be popular for their constituents. So if they know something is going to be a hot potato or could potentially be a hot potato at some point in time, they just won't show up. It's passive aggressive bullshit. In this case, I have to wonder how many of these people are in the back pockets of the video game publishers, the studios, who don't want to preserve games. Most of them, they don't want to, because that's a lot of effort and a lot of money and whatever. And they want you to go buy another copy of a game or move on to the next game. You're not supposed to play the same game that you bought 10 years ago. You're not supposed to be playing that game currently. You're supposed to buy their new product, even if it's inferior. Oh, you want the old game? Cool. We're going to give you a new version of that, and you're going to have to buy it all over again. Oh, you want to emulate it? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You got to buy it all over again. That's how this works. And then you have to pay us monthly to be able to access your own games. That's how this works. Oh, you want to play Halo with your friend on the couch? Well, you both have to have an account to do that. You know, so these companies, yeah, they have a vested interest in this not going through. So I have to wonder if they're like, hey, man, free game of mini golf if you just don't show up and vote on this thing. The volunteer claimed that the campaign had attempted to pass the bill without any funding or lobbying, saying this is our first attempt in our first year in the U.S. with a U.S. budget of $0. Okay, that's pretty impressive. No paid staff in California, no war chest, no in-person lobbying operation. The timeline was so compressed that we could not get funding in place fast enough to put people in the building. They also accused the Entertainment Software Association of lobbying senators with claims that range from misleading to flatly false, including a claim that running a private server similar to those run for games like Minecraft would be illegal. Oh, that was the right article. I thought we had the wrong thing. Well, damn. That's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. Okay. So here's the update. This is from the ESA. This is the video game publisher cabal, right? And they don't want this. They don't want this to happen, because then they're going to be responsible for keeping these games online forever. The ESA has provided VGC with a statement addressing the above. Private servers infringe on the intellectual property rights of game publishers, it reads. Publishers reserve the right to exercise their rights against them. The provision in CA-AB 1921 that proposed these servers as a legitimate alternative to keep games running raises concerns about a publisher's ability to enforce their IP rights. As long as you're not charging for it, what's the problem? You know, I don't understand. I mean, I get you want to control, but I'm like, the game is basically dead to you. And if these people aren't charging for it, if they go start a server for the crew or whatever, and they don't charge for it, maybe take donations or something like that, right? But they're not charging for it. What is the big deal? I know Ultima Online has survived all these decades simply because people are running private shards, or they're running private servers, which I thought about doing myself. But EA hasn't stopped them because they're not doing anything with it. I think they just want the rights to it, because they don't want people, again, they don't want you to play the old game. If they decide at some point in time they're going to bring this game back, you're going to have to pay all over again. I would just be like, you can run a private server, but you know, you can't charge for that. There needs to be a disclaimer. It's not officially associated with us. And if we decide at some point in time to bring this game back from the dead, then we might ask you to shut your private server down so there's no brand confusion. But if you're paying for the game, if it's free to play, that's a little bit different. If you're actually paying for the game, then I think you should have some right to be able to play that game. But just realize anymore, the way things are, you don't own anything. If it's a digital product, you don't own it. It could disappear at any point in time. There's no obligation on the part of the company to keep it up. Look at what's going on with Sony right now with movies. They just pulled like 550 movies. If they're going to this fall, they're going to pull them because it's they couldn't work out a deal with Studio Canal. People bought those movies, but you're just renting the movies. And it's the same with the games too. You might pay $50, $60 for a game, but you don't actually own it. You're renting it until they decide to take it offline. And that is a problem. And it's all media. It's not just video games. It's all media. They said, in addition, private servers operate with no oversight from the publisher and do not uphold the same trust and safety standards. I'd say use at your own peril. This could create an unsafe environment for players and be counter to the industry's commitment to fostering safe and fun gameplay for all players. Think of the children. We don't want any sex pests starting an unofficial server for our games, right? Right? We're not stopping, they added. Not even close. Next session, we come back with an in-person lobbying presence. the funding to do this properly, and a long list of organizations and developers signed on in support. We're not limiting this to California. We intend to introduce versions of this in other state legislatures, and we are seriously looking at the federal level. The ESA is about to learn what it's like to fight on many fronts at once. That sometimes is how you win. Sometimes you just have to wear down the opposition, and they just give up. And speaking of which, this is a 250th anniversary of America. That's basically what we did. We basically just wore the British down. It was like, fine, you can leave, but you'll be back. Did you see Hamilton? You'll be back. No, we never went back. Had the bill been passed without any modifications, publishers would have been legally required to give the public at least 60 days notice if it planned to shut down a game's servers and prevents its ordinary use to ensure players don't buy it right before it's shut down. Publisher, so it's kind of like the WARN Act, right? They have that in California. That should be something they could understand. The WARN Act, where they have to tell the state of California if they're going to lay off. I forget what the number is, but if there's a significant number of layoffs incoming, they have to tell them. And that's how people find out in advance of layoffs, because it used to be back in the day. And Pennsylvania still does this, by the way, because that happened to me one time. But they just haul you in the office and say, hey, you're done. Bye. You and 200 of your friends, you're all out the door. We got the HR people here to process the paperwork. Everybody's gone. Have a great weekend, guys. Usually they do it on Mondays, so you have a good weekend. But the publisher would then have to tell players the exact date the shutdown will occur, which services will no longer be provided, which game features will stop working, and any known security risks that might come as a result. Again, I would just put it on the people who want to run those servers and just be like, you need to put a disclaimer up. This is not an official product. Use at your own risk. You can't charge money for it. Donations maybe, but you can't actually charge people for it. And just warn people, hey, this is unofficial. We don't know what's going to happen to your computer, just so you know. And you can't hold, if just say it's EA. You can't hold EA responsible if the Ultima Online shard gives your computer a virus or something. Publishers would be legally required to provide an alternate version of the game that no longer needs to be connected to a server, patch, or update the existing game so it can be played offline, or refund the player at full cost they originally paid for the game. Well, yeah, because at that point, you're renting the game. If you don't get the game and you spent the money and you were under the impression you're buying the game, not just buying a license to play the game as long as they felt like putting it online. Now, that probably is buried in the fine print somewhere, but I think the way to do it, if you want to be smart, as a publisher, if you're developing any kind of online game, live service game, is there needs to be an offline mode. There has to be an offline mode. Like, I would say this is the law now. If they want to get involved in this, the state, the federal, whatever, just be like, if you have a game that is a live service game and you're selling it as a product, they still need to be able to use the product. If you decide to kill the live service aspect of it, even Phantasy Star Online, you could play it offline. It wasn't as fun, but you still could play it offline. So I think they need to do that. Be like, there's a single player campaign. Bring back the single player campaigns. There's a single player campaign, or you can kick it old school, do the LAN party, whatever. But we're not going to have the servers online anymore. I think that's how like Disney Infinity and stuff work now. You can still play it, but you can't access any of the user-generated content or anything like that. It's an example of how the process should work in the future is Multiverses, the Warner Brothers Smash Brothers competitor, which was shut down after a year in May of 2025. The game is no longer available. Players who logged in between February 4th and its shutdown saw their save file updated to allow an offline version of the game to continue to be playable, with all earned and purchased content available moving forward. Yes, if you want to change the law, that is the direction they need to move in, because you're telling people they're buying a game and they're not actually buying the game. Now, what you do then is just say, well, you're leasing the game, but that's where everything's going anyway. They want you paying every month, right? And people aren't going to do that though. They're not. If they're not going to be like, I'm not going to pay $20 a month for this game, or unless it's Grand Theft Auto or something like that. So I don't know. It's a very interesting conversation. So good luck with this. I think this is actually a very important thing. We're going to have a lot of games made in the last 10 years, especially, could disappear completely and there's no way to access them, play them again. I think it's pretty awful. So I think we need to stop killing games. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.